got to go in there because it's got to hold that. Now, a real problem is the input bearing. So this is what's giving us the trouble. So if I spin that up, you'll hear it. So yeah, so that's where our clutch goes, the splines for the clutch. But yeah. So yeah, that's where we got our issues. And if you look down in here, you'll see it. But I don't know if I can focus on that or get us enough light. Well, let's see what we can do. You see there, it looks a bit harsh, doesn't it? Let's see if I can close up on that. Can you see how rough that looks in there? And what I'm talking about is right in there, you see? It's got some oil leaking going onto it now. Look at that dark bit there, that bit there. See? See the roughness on it, like the sort of pitting. Move around this like a, I don't know what that black bit is. Rough again. One of them nasty black bits, you see? Yeah, look how rough that is. That's like a rust spot, I think. I think that is where it's had rust in it, you see? It's again, you see lots of it. Look at that. There. See? And again there. I reckon this bearing sat around wet for a while or something. It's almost like it's been stored badly. You know, before it's fitted maybe. I mean, it might be a bit of a silly thing to say, I don't know. But this gearbox has been rebuilt, you see. So I'm wondering if that bearing wasn't very good. Because they're sort of all in line. You imagine it being packed with some sort of grease. Yeah, see, look at that. Imagine it being packed with some sort of grease. And then the water getting into it. And that's what I reckon. Let me get a pick. I've got that pick on there. But I can feel it. I can feel it. You can hear it. Scraping noise it's making. Whereas look, no noise on there. As I move it over it. So yeah, that's it. So it's got a few functions here. Obviously this carries your release bearing for your clutch. And we've got a seal here, we'll go on that bit there. And then this face here will push against the bearing there to hold it in place, so that sorts out, you know, the clearance for that, which is obviously to do with these steps here. And then that bit obviously allows it to clear there. And then we have a cutout here, partly to clear that, but also this bit here, it's to allow any oil to get out that gets past the seal. So you can see there's a tiny drilling in there, and that allows anything to leak out. So if you've got past there, it can leak out through there, and it leaks out through there. So it doesn't end up in the clutch, that's the plan. So yeah, I'll fit a bit of grease around there before we put it on, so the seal will go over nicely. Pop over there well, and not tear it. There you go. And that's why this has got these cutouts in here, you see, to enable you to get stuff like that. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to fit it. So you see when that front bearing goes in there, that's kind of the same. It's got one of these rings goes on it, which we'll have to take off of that one there, and that's what allows a bit of clearance for it, you see there. So that's why we've got this cutaway there. But before that goes in, we'll put the selector rods in. Right, and there's our little selectors. Now remember the gearbox is upside down. That's where the sump goes on it. And that's the little bit that carries the reverse gear and organises that. We'll have to put the reverse gear peg in here. There's our reverse gear peg. So there's our reverse gear, and it engages in like that. So it's got to sit on this peg here, isn't it, to allow that to happen. See? Okay, sit there like that. Put a bit of oil in there first. So you can see that's how they'll sit in situ, and this is what will select them. What, you know, when the fault goes down there and organise, you know, selects which one and pushes to and fro to move it across, which is this piece. That bit. So it obviously moves across through there and then selects which one and pushes it to and fro. But the other thing we've got to look into is we have the little indents, don't we, to engage it, to hold it in place. So what you've got these, haven't you, for the different positions, you see, which corresponds with these ball bearings here, that pop in the side. And then of course they're on these little springs, aren't they, like that. So you've got a row of 3 of those there, that's that bit, but also you've got these. So you've got, this stops at selecting 2 gears at once. So you've got these pellets, and these sit inside in basically they're sitting like this in there, in the housing. And then what you see like that, but in the middle of there you get a little one. And depending on the position of it, that stops you engaging an extra gear, if you see what I mean. So it's not just those ones, it's these as well. So as you'll see, when that's in position, you see there, like that. So when you've got that one there like that, that's all right. But if you move this across, so if you move this across like that, see, it pushes that out, and which will mean this one can't be moved, can it? You know, this one won't. You know, you can't select another one. And then when you move that back that way, and now that to push down that way, pushes that back into that indent, you see, which allows you to select the next gear. So with those two sat there like that, then you see how that works. So we've got to fit these before we fit anything. I'll use a magnet to get them out. You should be able to drop them in fairly easily. So the first thing before fitting any of these is drop these down into it, or drop one down into it. Actually down in here. So there's a hole goes all the way through there. See, it goes from there all the way through like that. There's the bottom there. In there. I want to drop this down. See? Well, I need the rail in first. You can see how it can be dropped all the way through. So we've got to get what is our bottom rail in here, although actually it's the top because we're upside down. So where I've put these together, just for the sake of, just to give me something to, you know, it holds them together whilst we're working on it. So I've put them together whilst we're working on it. So the first one we're going to install is this one, you see, which will do your fifth gear and your reverse. Okay. So we're going to take that out of there. See, this just passes through those. See, it's just passing through them. It's not actually connected to them. So that one's connected to that one, that one's connected to that one, that one's connected to this one. See? So we'll obviously have to take that off. So that's our first rail, isn't it? Okay. So that's got to go on here. It's also got to pick up on the reverse gear, hasn't it? We've got to find a way of making that work. So it's got to go on there, and it's got to go in there. It's got to hold that. And we've got to allow that to go back on its woodruff key. See? There you go. So we've got that there. Now we can insert the selector rod. Should go in that way, with the indents to the outside. Remember that one? It's going to go up the end there. Okay. But what else has it got to do? Got to go through these two, hasn't it? It's got to go through those. So we need to get these in place as well. Okay, so just for the purposes of the camera, I'll get this one off first. This is obviously going to be there. Okay, so we've got to pop that in there. Okay. That's going to be that one, isn't it? This is going to be our top. There, you see. We can put this in. This is the lower rail. This has got this is the top one, so that will bolt in there. So the two rails will have to pass through here. So that's going to go through the bottom hole there, isn't it? Like that. See, because that has free play there. Then we've got to go through this one as well, haven't we? So that's only got two holes, isn't it? The one, that one that it fits the rail on, and that one where it will pass through it. Right, there you go. So that's there. So that's in place, but those two obviously aren't attached to anything, they're just sitting there free effectively. And we'll put the bolt in, pinch bolt in. We must remember to do this up, obviously. What we'll probably do is leave it loose for the minute. So next up, your first one of those, wasn't it? So we can pop this down with this from above here. And we want that to stay there, don't we? So once that's in, and then we can see how it works. See what I mean? That pushes up when you engage your gear. So we're going in the fifth there. Now we're going in reverse, like that. You see how this goes up? And then we're in neutral there. Then we're in fifth there. Neutral again. And reverse. So you see it's dropped down into where it's supposed to be. So now I've got to take this out, but without taking the pellet out, haven't I? So what I'll do is I'll put this in the end here. I can hold the pellet in place as I lift this up. There you go. Now the pellet's there. So what we might do is go a close-up of this. There's our selector. Here's a reverse gear. So we're going to go into reverse like that. Now we're going to go into fifth. We'll put it all the way back onto there. Well, it's not actually engaging fifth because it's, you know, this isn't actually, this is floating, you see, because it's not done up. But effectively that will come back there to engage fifth, and this will go into there. Well, let's do it by holding it together. So that's the sinker hub there. That bit. See, that's your sinker hub. This is what they call the Porsche style sinker hubs. So as that goes over here, as that bit goes onto that, it will clamp that and slow it, and then these engage there and there when you select your fifth gear. So let's see if we can do that. So there you go, be slowing it down now. Then those teeth will engage in there as we get into fifth. If I can do it one-handed, I might have enough. Yeah, I might have enough strength to do it one-handed. There you go, that's it. See, so it's engaged, those teeth are engaged. You can see that's nowhere near there, so that's out of reverse. So if we push it forwards again, it'll disengage there. I'll just do this because it's a bit difficult by hand. It's because I'm holding the phone in one hand, you see. See, so that's disengaged, it's still on the synchro hub, that's off. And now we're in neutral. So let's have a look at that peg up the end. There's our peg. See it popping up? As we're selecting reverse, there we've selected reverse now and it's the peg's popped up. And then we've gone back into neutral there and the peg's popped down, you see, and neutral there. Then we pull it back to fifth and it's popped it up again. And then we'll go back into neutral there, so it's popped it down. So that's how it works. Reverse again. So it's as it's going in and out of that indentation in the rail, in the selector rail, you see. Now don't worry about this, that brass selector, you can see there, that's only floating. That's supposed to, you know, that wouldn't be moving normally. That's only floating because it's just rubbing on the selector rail. You know, where the selector rail passes through it. Normally it has clearance, obviously. That's what it does. Right, pop the next rail in. Now which one is it? That one or that one? The easy way to tell is it's got that, isn't it, hasn't it? Where that peg has to go. So that's the little peg that goes in there. Oscillates between the two to stop you selecting two at the same time. Now we could fit that to it now, but it might fall out, so it's probably better to drop it in when we get into situ. So it goes that way down. That'll go to the outside to the pins there, or the springs. We'll see that in a minute. Right, so we've got to go through the end here. This is why we wanted that loose, isn't it? Because it will rub against it otherwise. So let's take this out again. So we'll just allow that to turn over a bit. So we'll slide this in. So that'll go in like that. It wants to pass through here, doesn't it? So we've got to find the hole it goes through. There you go, that's it. Now, and it is actually this one we're working on, isn't it? So it's going to engage in there, isn't it? Like that. It's going to go into that hole there. So we can go all the way through. Now, we might have to get a little bit of grease on it. Okay. Into place. There you go. Right, how are we doing? Good. Right, put that on, put that one in. Right, good. Right, last one. So we've got the last peg in now. Now, because we're in neutral, that should all fit. We can slide this in, you see. There. They're all in place. So we'll put them in and we'll do them up. But before we do that, we'll have a quick look in there. See if we can get a better look at that, how it works. So we're looking at that peg, aren't we? And if I move either of these selectors, so if I move the reverse one and fifth gear one around, you see it pops it back up. But that's actually not, that's the lower rail, isn't it, moving, you see? You see how it moves it up and so it move it into that indentation in the top rail, or rather it'd be the bottom rail because we're upside down. And if we do the same with the next rail along, you see, I'm going to try and do the same. See, I'll move it, pops it up and down. So without that, if any of them are in the wrong place, it won't allow them to move. You see, only one can move at a time, at one time. You can't, so you can't physically select two gears. That's the idea. Would you lock it up, wouldn't you? You see? So now with that in drop down, see if that was there, this rail won't go in, will it? It would stop it going in. You see what I mean? So I'll try and fit this rail, and yeah, you see like that, and then that rail would stop because that's sticking up. Whereas if I allow that to go down, I can then fit this rail in, can't I? There you go, perfectly. So that's it. I can do them up now, do all of these up. Right, that's that little lot. So let's put those little bearings in, little ball bearings in, and the springs. So I have to turn it around. So they all pop in there. See? So the springs go in here with the little ball bearings, which goes into those indents, remember? And then that's where the bolts go. Well, those bolts go there. Ball bearings and springs there. So that's what we got, these things. See? So again, see how it works? And that lot's held in place with a plate. Now I've got a gasket to go on here, but I'm just going to put it on dry till we're finished with the job. Because I'll probably put a bit of sealant on it as well. But until I know everything's working, I don't want to start putting sealant on things. So we can just nip that up. Doesn't need to be that tight because we're taking it off again eventually, aren't we? Just to check operation of everything. And would I remember to put a gasket on there? Well, of course I will, because I won't be using it. I'll have it there, won't I? Waiting to be used, so I'll check it against the, you know, against, if I have it left over, I know I haven't used it. Okay, we'll install the lay shaft now. There you go. Now, can you see how blackened this is? And the input was the same. So I reckon it's been run a bit dry on oil at some point because it's got very hot. And of course that was the corresponding bearing we had a problem with. But I think that's nothing to do with it. I think that bearing was damaged not because of the heat, just damaged anyway. But anyway, that's interesting. I reckon low oil, but not sure. Can't be sure. There we go. Right. Okay. So it's going to be a bit fiddly. See that? Okay, well that's why this is removable, you see, because it gets in the way a bit. But we can pop it in now. So that's got to line up, hasn't it? Through there. So that'll do that. And this one's got to go through there like that. See? Okay, this is almost impossible one-handed, but we're getting there.